Let's talk, though, about the policy that Chris Luxon is absolutely obsessed by, because it's easier for him to do numbers and figures. And the very promise of a national government in regards to the sector of our economy already appears to be having an impact. That is the housing market, the real estate market. And our commentator on this is Vanessa Williams from realestate.co.nz. She joins us by video link now. Vanessa, lovely to see you again. How are you?
Good morning, Sean. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
We're cracking on. It's been a busy time, though, and today's going to be busy as well. Though it would seem to me, no matter what the result is this afternoon, the property market has already made a decision about what impact an uncertain new government, or the precise makeup of which we don't know, is going to have. And basically, we're off to the races again, aren't we?
Yeah, and look, that's typically what happens. This will be my fourth election with realestate.co.nz, and basically every time Kiwis sit on their hands, what's going to happen, and then as soon as we get some kind of result, whichever way it goes, we just all kind of carry on. And I think, this year's no stranger to that. We've all kind of gone, right, let's get back to it, and we're starting to see those green shoots come up, which is great.
All right, now things were really, really quiet, weren't they? Does that build up a pent-up demand? A whole lot of people who are putting off selling or buying suddenly go, oh, okay, I can do it again now. Does that cause like a flurry?
Yeah, it does really. The property market can be a little bit like a dam. And if there is the constriction there for whatever reasons, whether it is legislation or whether it's economic factors, or even, this year, who would have thought the weather would have had a massive impact on the New Zealand property market, but it has. So when I would say this year has been a year of transactions with people who had to transact rather than wanted to transact. But there is still a bunch of people out there, to your point, who would have gone, right, it's all over, let's move on. OCR's kind of stabilised. We've got a government and we're going to get some sunny weather. Let's put our property on the market.
We had Cameron Bagri talking yesterday. He still says inflation is an issue. We are not out of the woods yet in terms of the economy, and we see some banks being pretty bearish as regards long-term interest rates and mortgage rates. Is that offset by the promise or the expectation of a change to tax regimes and bright line tests for rental properties, making property in general, residential property in general, attractive again or more attractive again?
Yeah, I think the devil is in the detail, around there's a lot of promises that have been made, but, how those actually translate, and I guess it's all in the fine print, right? Because there has been a revenue stream from taking that interest deductibility out of the market. Where is that revenue stream going to come from now? So I think at the moment, there's a lot of promises being made, but where the devil is in the detail is all that fine print around how that's actually going to translate. I do think that there has been a lift in confidence from the investor market with just the talks of those changes.
Yeah, business confidence in general we know is up, and it's flipped back into the positive. And that sort of economic activity or mood obviously affects the property market, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And you've got to remember that looking at the chunks of the market, there's around 10% that is first home buyers. You've got 30% that's around the investor market. So that leaves, 60 odd percent that is subsequent home buyers. And we're sort of, when you look at that 90% chunk that is probably impacted by the economic factors, you start to see the confidence lift in a substantial part of the market. And of course, there's, what will the overseas investors look like? Will that be the 2 million plus mark? Will it be opened up further than that? We're still yet to see all the details behind that.
All right. Vanessa, I'm wondering too, are there any regional differences that are emerging? I know Wellington had it really, really tough for a while. Are the bounce backs bigger in the areas that were hardest hit? Or is this a pretty universal lifting of all boats?
Yeah, it's pretty universal. I do think the bigger increases have been in regional New Zealand. Typically, we see the big centres, Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch. They've sort of set this one out. They've been remaining, I would call, pretty stable. But however, we have seen some of the regional markets like Taranaki, Central North Island. They've actually started to see those year-on-year increases back, where we haven't seen that for the major centres yet. They're still backwards when compared to the same time last year.
All right, and all we've got to do now is wait for all those overseas millionaires and billionaires to buy multi-million-dollar mansions, don't we?
Yeah, something like that. I think so. I mean, look, when I looked at the numbers, right, Sean, I mean, the $2 million mark, there's about 7% of all of our listings are in that $2 million mark. So it is a small subset of the market.
Yeah.
And those houses just stay on the site for so much longer. So that tells me that demand isn't satisfying supply at that end of the market anyway. So to open it up to have a few more investors at that end, I'm not so concerned about. It's when we start taking it from the cost-effective housing that we just don't have enough of it here in New Zealand.
I hear you. Hey, Vanessa, always a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed for your time this morning. Vanessa Williams from realestate.co.nz. And yeah, the housing market is moving, and it's moving upwards on the back of, and we'll get the details of what our government looks like. I imagine they will have a coalition deal, certainly by the end of next week,